Okay, officially it is 4 o'clock. We want to welcome Castro Valley parents and caregivers and stakeholders to our fourth and fifth grade parent informational meeting. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We had a very successful K through 3 parent information night last night, and we're glad to be here tonight with you again to just give you some information about the fourth and fifth grade science program that's happening this year in a very different year than probably the most unique year that we've ever had in education for a very long time. My name is Nia Rashichi. I'm the Director of Elementary Education in the district and really happy to be here with you tonight. I have two colleagues with me who I will have introduce themselves. If we want to start with Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren Bayaki. I'm a K-12 science TOSA for the district, and I get to work closely with the science specialists.
Okay, and Lynn?
I'm Lynn Foy-Kush, and I am the fourth and fifth grade science specialist, and I've been teaching fourth and fifth grade science for the district since 2004. So this is an interesting year, though. It's a little different.
A little different. So thank you, Lauren and Lynn, for being here tonight and helping to present this information to our community. A few things for our community to know is that we are recording this meeting tonight, so that for those folks that can't be here with us tonight, they can still see it. So we will be posting the recording on not only our science websites, but also our district distance learning COVID-19 website that's on the district website. So it'll be available for anybody that watched it tonight so they can rewatch it, or anybody that wasn't able to make it tonight. We will also ask you to hold your questions until after Lynn, who's our main presenter, goes through her presentation, because we believe that some of the questions that you might ask will be answered in the presentation itself. And if not, we will definitely have a time after the presentation for a Q&A. So without further ado, I think I will hand it off to Lynn and we'll get started in the presentation. Lynn?
Thank you so much, Nia. Well, first of all, before I even start, I just want to say there is a tiny URL at the bottom of the screen so that you can go to tinyurl and call up this very display. If you're having trouble seeing it, it'll be available to you after the presentation. The links in it are live and you can keep it. I have no plans on taking it down, so you can use the links through the year as a tool if you need to. The most important thing of all is that you, the parents, are really partnering with me as I do this year. So we appreciate you very much, and we know that your task is difficult or challenging at the very least. So we appreciate so much all that you are doing, and I appreciate the communication so that we can simplify your lives in any way we can. So without further ado, let's go quickly through some of the things that we can do. First of all, the most important thing with me is the science website. That is the most important tool of your students' journey through science this year, because the classroom teacher is teaching other things. They're not teaching science, and I do not meet with them every day the way the classroom teacher does. So I can't give them the reminders that they would. Remember to go do page 35. Can't do any of that because I see them once a week. But it's actually an opportunity for a wonderful skill for them to develop, because as they move towards middle school, they have to be able to be more time management on their own, which you would love someday to see them be successful at. So you're helping us in training in that direction. And they will have multiple subjects. The fifth graders next year will definitely have multiple subjects they'll be having to manage. So this is all good practice for that. We make it easy by having everything they need in the website. And there's a navigation bar across the top. Make sure that you are looking at whether you're on the home screen, if it's a fourth grade page, fifth grade page, or all the old playlists are in the past playlists, sort of a retired playlist page, but the links are there and you can go to them. And then we've got the main components of the program. Most important two are the science playlist and the live lab. The playlist has everything they need, all the instructions. They can start on science before they ever see me that week in a live lab. But it's really important you understand it's a 2-week cycle. We're always in a 2-week cycle. So the first time they see me in the first week, if it's late in the week, they should have already started going to the science playlist earlier in the week. And I've talked with them about it, and we're getting there. It's a work in progress, and that's just that's great because they have to learn to do this, and it will become like a muscle or a reflex for them eventually. There are other really important things that are going to go along with this, and that's that the TCI journals, these books, we've got the 5th grade TCI journal. Now this is just the first unit, and here's the 4th grade TCI journal, and these will be handed in whenever we're done with this towards the end of the trimester, and at the same time we'll be handing out the next journal. And because we are doing unit 2 with 4th and 5th grade, there are 4 units to get through this year, and they're really wonderful. They have a lot of color, the text is in there, they're pretty interesting. There's a lot of extra space. If you have a big writer, they can, if they're having trouble with anything, I suggest that they just tape in some paper. They can just tape it right over the top of their work. It's absolutely fine. And a lot of them, you know, I tell them, hey, if it looks all beat up, that's a good thing. You're using it. Unless you're using it to, you know, play with a dog. That's a problem. Once a week, they're going to see me. If you miss a live lab, you go to another one, and you don't need permission for that. So we'll discuss that in a minute. That TCI journal goes with a TCI account. And this is probably the most confusing thing about what we do. Sometimes when people click on a link in our playlist, they say, it's telling me to sign into TCI, but I thought I did already. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Just, it is important to make sure that it's turned on, and it does log off. If they go off and do something and come back later, it can log off on them. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The one way I know that they're doing the work currently, since we don't collect this till the end of the trimester, is that they fill in an exit ticket at the end that's going to show me that they have understanding. It's not an exhaustive test, and the important thing is they can retake it and bring their score up easily and just do it all in the same session. And I do have some office hours. I've got them apparently very short, but trust me, I'm stick around. I stick around till they're back. I just want them to come check in during that time. So the workbook, I just showed you the 2 pictures, and it is 4 separate books, and it is distributed by the classroom teacher. So you may hear about one school handing theirs out before yours. Don't panic. It's all being done through the classroom teacher. So we just go with the school's pickup and drop-offs. The TC online account is the important thing to be logged in. And the way you always do this is you have to be in the student's CVUSD account. So on their Chromebook is great. Or if they're on another device, they have to log into their Gmail before they can go to the Google Waffle. And then they go down to the very bottom of the Google Waffle and they click on the TCI, Teach TCI. Now, the most important part of this is they're going to get a screen that says, I'm in TCI. They don't do a thing with it. They just leave it open. And all it does is activate all the links in the science playlist so that then they will have an uninterrupted journey through the playlist for this session that they're working in. And they'll have to do it each time that they go. Although I tend to not have TCI stuff on the first couple pages. So sometimes they forget. Anytime they click on a link and they're asked for a password, they know, oh, I got to go back to my Google Waffle. And the live lab, in my my website, I have the live lab links posted, and I have the 4th grade schedule on the 4th grade page, the 5th grade schedule on the 5th grade page. It doesn't really matter which, if you've missed yours and you're joining another, it doesn't matter which one you join as far as the classes. You know, it's not who am I going to go see. This is all about working around your schedule and your child's schedule. So if, let's say, you know, you're going to have a dentist appointment this week and you're going to miss your 11:40 live lab on Thursday, you need to plan ahead because you're going to have to go to one of the Wednesday ones or the morning one on Thursday. And it doesn't matter who else is there. You just join it. I've had a lot of kids where they've had problems with technology, so they miss the first 10 minutes. So I say, great, just go to the first 10 minutes of another one. And if you have PE right now, come back to the later one this afternoon. Make sure you're not going to a Monday one if you're a 5th grader, because those are 4th and 5th grade, or 4th grade on Monday and Tuesday. But attendance is mandatory, but it's very easy to make it up. It's very easy to plan around things. So don't let that be a block for you. And I'll tell you, the content is really important, not only for being able to navigate the science playlists, which are more sophisticated than the younger ones, It's simple as far as the layout, but it looks full because we're dedicated to 5 simple pages, but there are going to be more things where they go out and come back because they do more since they're 4th and 5th graders. A lot of their science practices and skills are being introduced and reinforced, and I'm doing a lot of direct teaching in those 40-minute live labs. Now, sometimes teachers have said they're 30 minutes because they know that there's really 5 minutes in the beginning and 5 minutes at the end that are coming in and out, but it's a 40-minute block. So be prepared. It's not a 30-minute block. So be prepared that your child's going to be sitting there probably for 40 minutes. The science playlist is accessed right here through that website, and you just scroll down a little further and you'll find each week this week's 5th grade playlist, or on the 4th grade page this week's 4th grade playlist. It's always 2 weeks of activities. All the written work is done in your notebooks. We don't ever put any answers online. There are some games, some TCI games they can play. We don't see the answers, and it's just for their own practice, and they're fun. There are also some online pieces. For example, they can read the text here, or they can have it read out loud to them in the TCI link. So we give them the links, but we tell them don't get stuck wandering around in TCI, only do the sections we're looking at. And slowly but surely I'm showing them how to navigate in those safe sections so they don't get lost and wonder what they're supposed to be doing. But always come back to the science playlist to find out what comes on next. They're always 5 slides long, and the exit ticket that tells me about their participation is always on that last page. It's the last thing they do. So they'll submit that at the end of the playlist. So after 2 weeks, or if they get done sooner, a little sooner. Now, a lot of people, I just went to the FAQs first because a lot of you have some very specific questions. The science playlist must be completed 1 page at a time in order. We've actually done an arc of how this has to happen for their learning, and they can't skip some things in the front and go to something in the middle. So they start with page 1, then page 2, page 3. All instructions from me are found in that playlist. So they can start without seeing me in the live lab, no problem. They have to read directions. It's a problem sometimes. Some of us forget to read directions, and we're just as guilty. Let me just try it out first. So encourage them to, have you read the directions yet? And then they have to have that TCI logon. I have linked some logon instructions here, and they're just a simple PDF, and they're found on the website, on all the pages of the website as well. A student's TCI logon can expire, like I said, so make sure if they start seeing anything asking them for a password that they just go log on again. It fixes everything when they go log on again. And then when a link does take you away from the science playlist, remind them, they get a little distracted and then they go surfing through some videos or something. They have to come back to the playlist. That's their instructions. And then those exit tickets can be retaken. I encourage them to try for 7 out of 10 or better, and not be happy with 2 out of 10, because that doesn't show me participation. Anyone who does any parts of the playlist should be able to do better than 7 out of 10, or just attends the live labs. And then this looks complex, but I just want you to know that this part here is found on the website. So if you're confused or forgotten anything, on my website, down towards the bottom of every page, you'll find this pacing guide. And it looks complex, but we're gonna go through it really quickly. Students do have to pace themselves. They're gonna work around their classroom teachers, ELA and math assigned homework, and I don't know what that is. I'm dealing with 1,050 students. So there's no way, and a lot of teachers, there's no way for me to know who's where. And so they have to sort of manage that. And their classroom teachers help them a bit. They say, remember, you're going to PE tonight. Today after school, or after your school done with me at 11, you're gonna go see Mrs. Foykush for live lab at 11:40. So they do remind them of that, but also they have to balance their other work being assigned by music and PE sessions and by the classroom teacher. So they know when it's best for them to, do I have a half-hour chunk I can work on science right now or not? And then if they prepare for the live labs, they're going to get more out of the live labs. And they do need to submit that exit ticket. Right now, we're being very forgiving, but we're hoping that we can get them into a pattern of not doing it 3 weeks late. We certainly understand now, as people are just your parents are just finding out, I didn't know we were doing science. No problem. We will take late exit tickets, but we're hoping it becomes more of a pattern so that they can be done by the 2-week deadline, because there's nothing worse than falling behind. And as a kid, you're feeling like, oh, I just can't get caught up. All right, so on that playlist pacing, I always recommend that the first 3 slides get done with the first week's work. Now, that means I'd like them to go look at page 1 and page 2, which is just an intro. It's very short, usually 5 to 10 minutes max of their time. The phenomenon, which with 4th grade will be about 5 minutes, 5th grade, sometimes longer. And I'd like them, if they can't do the whole phenomenon page, to at least look at it and try it so that when they show up to Live Lab number 1 in week 1, I can help them with it. And then they should finish it right after we're done with Live Lab. And that way they get cohesive learning. Now, throughout the next week until I see them for Live Lab 2, I'd like them to work on page 3. We'll see that in detail in a minute. That's where the readings are. And then we get to the second week, and some folks I'm seeing on Thursday of the second week, and then their playlist is due, the 5th graders, their playlist is due on Saturday. So we don't want to leave too much to put it off. So it's really good if they can get through page 3. I will start the practice it, which is always an investigation, with them and help them walk through how to do it. They'll finish it on their own. And then there's usually a few other practices, often fairly short. And then on page 5, this is where they show what they know, and this is where they submit the exit ticket. So really quick overview of the playlist 1 and 2, and this is just a 4th grade. This is just this week. In the first 2 slides, it's a very short intro and then a very quick phenomenon to get them engaged. If it is a longer phenomenon, then they should read it over and see if they can just at least start it. It really maximizes their learning in Live Lab 1. The second or the third slide would be the thing they're going to finish before the second Live Lab. And again, if they don't get everything done, it's just going to leave more work for them to do on the other end. So again, I just keep encouraging them to try to do the readings. Today we went through quite a bit of the readings and went through some answers to help them. And the ones that had done the work really got a lot out of it. The other ones are saying, wait, I haven't copied that. And I say, you're going to have to go do it now. You have to do that hour's work. So we're looking at an hour of work a week outside of that Live Lab time. There is always going to be a choice board and a must do with and a may do down here. So there's one thing they have to do, sometimes a video, sometimes a reading, and it's really going to help inform the TCI readings up here at the top. The TCI readings seem like a lot, page 32 through 39, but they're really not. There are 3 paragraphs at a time and then a little exercise afterwards. We'll talk more about if your student is struggling. I have a few recommendations of some things you could leave out for now. And I know the slides look kind of busy, but a lot of these things are reminders. Did you log into TCI, etc. Then we get to week 2. We're now on slides 4 and 5. The investigation is always at the top, and we start that together. And then they have a few more things to do, usually involved in the investigation. And then sometimes they have a little game to go play. Again, that might take 5 minutes. Then they go on to the last slide when they're ready. They are going to do one final show what you know for TCI in the TCI workbook. And then they're going to fill out that exit ticket. Exit tickets are submitted digitally. When they click on these links here, it takes them to another document, and it's a Google form. Okay. These are the exit tickets. And this is kind of what I love is I'm teaching them don't give up. All of us have taken bad tests and we feel terrible afterwards. We just really want to encourage that, look, you can do this. So when they click at the bottom of an exit ticket where they fill things in, there's a submit button. When they click on that, they're going to get this window. So all they have to do is click on view score. And this window is going to pop up. It's going to show them exactly which ones they missed. It will not give them the right answers. So that's key. They get to try, not just to guess again, but often go look it up really quick. Oh, I thought I knew that. And they go check it. And that reinforces their own learning. And then they come back, they can have these 2 windows side by side, these 2 tabs. So they just look at that and then they go over here and hit edit response, edit your response, and they redo the quiz while they're looking at the wrong answers getting the right ones back in there, and they click submit again at the bottom and view score again and see what they got. So they can do this. Most kids only have to retake it once or twice, and then they're done. So that's a great feature. The science playlist process has looked really complex with everything I've shown you. So let me just try to summarize it in a nutshell. Step one, they have to access the playlist through the website, My 4-5 Science website. They're going to log into TCI through the Google Waffle, meaning they have to log in their Castro Valley Unified School District account. And then once that's active, all the links should work in the playlist. Step 3, they're going to complete the readings, the writing, the activities on the slides in the order given. And step 4, they're going to turn that exit ticket in. And always that link is on the slide 5. And it's associated with each playlist. It's the end of the playlist. What about my kid who's really, this is so much work, because this is an hour to an hour and a half of asynchronous work on their own without a teacher, and 35 minutes of the live lab time, synchronous time with the teacher, with me, which could happen at different times during the week. If the workload's overwhelming, there are a few things that students could skip for now, and then they can ramp up and start bringing them in a subsequent playlist and add a little bit more each time. The goal would be to start doing these when they're able, and you can help them. If you see they're frustrated, talk to them a little bit about it. Sweetheart, what was the worst thing that you had to do? Well, after every reading, I can read it, but I can't answer the questions afterwards. We're going to leave out those questions for now. Maybe draw a picture, or we're just going to go on to the next reading. We're going to make this easy for you. So I, right here, linked a document called Strategies to Lighten Your Science Workload. And in that, I've made some suggestions that might help. So if you're having someone who's struggling, or maybe someone who's on a 504 or something where they just feel like they need more help, we can definitely modify this for them. The last thing is my office hours, Monday through Thursday, 3 o'clock to 3:15 is the drop-in time, sort of to check in. First come, first served. Parents and students are welcome. I will stay as long as needed, but if no one shows up in that slot, then I know we're probably okay for that day. The links are on the website with those live lab links. So right here, you'll see office hours. And thank you very much. So it is now time for those questions. There is a cool K-5 Science one-pager that Lauren put together that has a lot of information, especially if you have 2 kids and you're having to remember all the K-3 procedures and the 4-5 procedures. So that's a one-stop shop that has stuff on both for you, if that would help you. And there's a link to my website there. And my email, feel free to email me.
Okay, Lynn, our first question is about the choice board, and they want to know if they must do at least one of the may do activities on slide 3. So you might want to go back to that slide about the choice board.
You know, what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm just going to pull over this. Let's see if I can come out of, can you guys see that okay? Is that showing? No.
No, we still see the thanks.
I'm just going to go out of present mode here first. Let me get out of my slide present mode. Not screen sharing, I just want to stop the slide. There we go, exit my slide share. Okay, now I should be able to bring this over and show you. Sorry, there we go. Okay, so this is that document about simplifying temporary strategies to lighten your science workload. So this is the slide 3, and there's the choice board. So what I recommend is that have your child do the must do for sure. That's really important in instruction. The may do's are very optional at this point. They're fun though. They're usually 5 minutes, and they break up all of these readings that we're doing. When you have 4 readings, each of them maybe only 3 paragraphs, but on different subjects, it can get a little bit tedious to do nothing but read. So sometimes it's good to go do one of those. So yes, it will say whether we expect you to do 1 or 2. Right now, it's all going to be 1. Maybe towards the end of the year, we'll be suggesting 2. But right now, that's certainly a good thing to leave out. So I suggest that you can not do, with each of these readings in TCI, there is a question afterwards. I'll just show you one really quickly. So if I have a reading, then I'm going to have, here's my reading. And then right behind it is a response kind of a thing. And that can look like a lot because of the empty space. Sometimes it's not much, but sometimes it just looks like a lot. So if your child is struggling, then maybe they draw a picture there or they just skip it. And the other thing they can do though is they can leave out the may do. They should probably do the must do, but leave out the may do choice. And then I think the important things are to read the TCI readings and play any of the check for understanding games if I provide the link for one. And then slowly but surely, you're going to add the work back in. And then I gave some tips on being successful, but you can look at that on your own. Next question.
What if our student answered the playlist questions online instead of the workbook?
We can't see them. Their teacher possibly could find them, but we can't see them. So we've been telling them, we can't see anything you type in online. So they're gonna have to, maybe they could, I don't even know if they can, I don't think they can access them again. I think they're gone. So I think that parent should probably call me, or email me so we can talk individually, because maybe we can just skip, if they did a good exit ticket, maybe we can skip that first playlist, but they need to be writing, everything's in here. Because the way TCI is set up by classroom, and because I have all the 4th and all the 5th graders, I don't have any classrooms. I've got 1,050 students. So that's why we chose these wonderful books, had them, and actually it's good to have them writing. I know some of them would rather do it digitally, but we have no way to access it. So it's gone. Sorry. From now on, use the book. and send me an email so I can talk to your child about it's okay. It's okay.
The next question, at the end of the unit, when the kids turn in the TCI workbook, will they get it back?
Yes, they will get it back. I don't know at what time or how soon, but they will get it back. Yes, it's theirs to keep. All 4 of them. Good question.
The next question is about the live lab. If they miss the live lab, they're supposed to watch another one that week. What if they're unable to attend another one during the week?
Then they're probably going to be okay, but I do have office hours. I've had them come in and say, Mrs. Voikush, what happened today in live lab? Well, it was 40 minutes of stuff, so I probably can't give you everything, but I can certainly answer your questions, help you, and give you some really the important things, the must-dos. For example, this week, I showed them the check for understanding quizzes for the first time. And there's a little confusion about how to see them. So I would make sure that your child saw that, because that was the new tech thing that makes their job easier to figure out. So I would definitely go over that with them. And you know, I'm pretty good at, if they'll just show up to, sometimes they come to 2 in a row. They missed so much, they might come to 2 of my office hours in a row, and I'm willing to do that. So, and often when they show up, there's someone else there with the same question, so they both hear it answered at the same time.
Next question, how are they graded, the exit ticket and the workbook?
Well, we have a major emphasis this year for this subject in participation. That's probably our biggest grade. Whether the 4th and 5th graders are going to get a little bit more of an assessment of participation when we see this, that will help us a better idea, because some people are a little disconcerted by doing all your participation on just that exit ticket. So that helps us see it 2 ways. Some kids never test well, so they're like, oh, what if I'm getting a bad grade? That's why we're asking them to do this. This is something physical we can see. And again, if they're trying, it's going to be evident. So that's a huge part of their grade, is participation.
And Lynn, you also might want to remind them about the state testing. That's
5th graders do have state testing at the end of the year, and the CAST is the science test, and we don't know how that will be. It's going to be administered through home, and it's an electronic test. So we don't know how that's going to work, but it usually happens in May, and we're hoping that it'll be the same time frame. And I'm trying to get through as much as they have to know before we can get there, so we have some review time at the end. And of course, that test doesn't follow them. It's not going to affect their school career. It's just to see, you know, basically, are we doing our job, and are they, and it's really a wonderful experience if they have learned enough science to feel comfortable with the questions. Who cares if they get them right or wrong? If they look at them and they say, hey, I know something about that, then the test itself can become a learning process for them. I never want a child to walk in and say, oh, we never learned about this. So we will cover all the subject areas for them before they get to that.
The next question, is it fair to tell the kids that they'll be turning in their workbook and someone will be checking that they completed the assignment?
Yes.
Can we access recordings of live labs if they miss or can't attend any of the scheduled labs?
You know, we've looked into trying to do that, but it's very difficult to do it. Right now, I think the best bet is to have them come to my office hours. If there's a holiday, I'm making an effort to record one. And I did one for 4th grade this week. The Monday holidays will always be 4th grade. So this coming week, we're going to have parent conferences, and we're going to have some people missing some live labs. So I'm going to be, you know, trying to do a little bit of a makeup for them in the following week. So right now we don't have it recorded, but this coming week I'm going to try to do that. The problem is we can't require your child to watch that video, but I will try to make one available during conference week, both 4th and 5th grade, and I post them on the website.
Next question is about the exit ticket. Is there a way for parents to check if their student is doing their exit ticket and how they're doing on it?
Their teachers get every week, well, it's every 2 weeks when the playlist comes in, but we've been updating every week because people are turning things in late right now. An update to the teacher. So the classroom teacher has been emailing and saying, hey, I see you didn't turn in your exit ticket. Other than that, you can email me and I can tell you, because I can look it up as long as you have your students. I need to know what grade level, their teacher, or I just give me their student number. All I need is their log on their student number, and I can look it up very quickly and tell you, and I'm happy to do that.
Can they also just click on the exit ticket link in the playlist and see if they've done it?
No, that doesn't work yet. But I'm trying to figure out how that can happen. Let me ask Lauren, did Charles make that work successfully for him?
I'm not sure.
I think because I've enabled the ability for them to take and retake, it takes away that feature. Because if they go out of it and leave it submitted, they can actually retake it again, and they can submit it as many times as they need. We see the multiple submissions and we just look for the highest grade. Because of that, I think it's safest to just shoot me an email, because it's very fast for me to look up and I can just send it back to you very quickly. I'm sorry to put that burden on you, but it's probably just as fast as trying to look it up somehow.
And then there was another question about the exit ticket, but you already answered that. So those are all the questions I have.
They're only 10-point quizzes, but only usually 5 to 6 questions. I think this one might be 7 this time. I put in a few 1-pointers. So it's not a long quiz.
So those are all the questions that have been asked so far. We want to give some wait time and see if there are any other questions that folks have for tonight. We wanted to make sure that this was, you know, we know that there were questions out there about what's happening with science, how is it organized, and so we wanted to provide an informational night that would be helpful for folks. We had the K through 3 science informational night last night, and that seemed to be helpful. The response that we got from people was it was really helpful, helped us to understand how things are built, what the focus is on science, etc. So we're hoping to do that same thing tonight. So please ask any questions that you have. And just a reminder that we will, I think one more question popped up. Just as a reminder, we are recording this presentation. It will be posted on not only the district website under our COVID-19 distance learning resources, as well as on the science websites. And that will be inclusive of the presentation is also going to be there. So if people want to click through the presentation again, So both of those will be available for our families and stakeholders to look at again or look at for the first time if they weren't able to come tonight.
Absolutely. And we put the, you want me to go back to the tiny URL?
Sure, that'd be great. There's a tiny URL on the first slide that shows that you can just type in to get these slide presentations.
If you wanted to look over anything from tonight right now. Recording probably won't be available until either Friday of this week or Monday of next week. We'll have to see how long they have to be processed, and we put in closed captioning. So, any other questions?
Okay. One more minute. Okay, not seeing any other questions. Oh, wait. Oh, so thank you for your time. Very informative. Okay, so thank you, Mrs. Nunez, or Mr. Nunez. We're going to, oh, wait. Yeah, now thank yous are coming in. So we thank you as our partners. We could not do this work without our parent community. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you're putting in to help make this whole distance learning new adventure in education. Thank you for being such great partners. And so please, if you have questions that come up after tonight, please shoot those to our science specialists. Len, did you have one more thing to say?
I just remembered one more thing I was going to say. Okay, parents, listen up. You're going to have kids come to you and they're going to say, Mrs. Foy-Kush said we were supposed to do this experiment. That's going to be rare if it involves going to the store and buying any equipment. Now, I often tell them, hey, if you happen to have some of this stuff at home, you might want to try it, but you must ask your parents very nicely if it's okay. And you must wait for them to do it at their time frame. So I have some kids who are still dying to try celery in food coloring from the first playlist. And they said, my mom and dad say, maybe we can do that soon. So don't let them tell you that they have to do it right now, okay? We're doing this virtually. We don't expect anyone to go way overboard, okay?
Absolutely.
Sorry, parents. I don't want you to believe them when they say, she said we had to do this. If it's not on the playlist, they don't have to do it.
So there's one more question about that, Lynn. Are there any supplies they should have on hand to support that?
You know, it's going to be very individual, but a few things that might help. Cups. So plastic cups or paper cups. A lot can be done with cups. And right now we're doing life science. So, you know, they might want to plant some things, but you don't have to go out and buy them seeds and stuff. So if they ask to build a terrarium, I usually show them how to do it out of cut up 2-liter bottles and things like that. So we use I show them lots of different methods. So I don't think there's anything you really have to stock up on, except they definitely need to have this ready every time they come to Live Lab and something to write with. And then I do sometimes tell them, a lot of them, occasionally, one of the may-dos, a lot of them have an artistic bent, is to go out and observe something and draw it, because that's a major skill of scientists. So I've just shown them that they can just take some paper, and they don't have to do this at all, but take some regular paper, fold it over, maybe put a cover on it. And this might be there because they like to do a lot of drawing. They go out and I'm a little scientist, you know, and I'm just going to go out and do some drawing, and it's great. And that's not going to get turned in. They would keep that at home. So that will always be in one of the may-dos. If it is a required drawing, it'll be done in a specific page in the playlist. So, you know, paper, I guess. My grandson loves to draw. Let's hope all of you guys like to draw. It's a good skill. Label the drawings, though. Label.
Okay, I think that might round out the questions for now. But again, I know that if you have additional questions, you can always go to the science website. You can email Lynn and make sure so that you can ask your questions directly. You can also go to the office hours. But for now, we're going to say that there aren't any other questions. we're going to wrap up our informational night. Thank you again for participating with us. And you will see this recording on the district website and on the science websites, as well as the presentation.
I do have office hours by appointment also, so don't feel free to email me. I don't want to hold you down to that little teeny 15-minute time frame. That's mostly for kids. So feel free to email me anytime. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. So thank you, everybody. Lynn, I'll say you have a comment that says "you rock" with an exclamation mark. So we agree. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a good rest of your evening. We're going to end the recording now, and we hope you have a good evening. Good night.